murderer. And to her credit, I've only ever had to remove one carcass from the house. The other one...
Cleaning up the blood must be terrible.
You can use a paper towel and some Lysol. It's not too awful.
So do you then use these carcasses for fertilizer? I mean, do you go out there and plant them at the palm trees or whatever else to get them moving?
Nah. I mean...
No, not really.
There's nothing really in the front yard that needs that level of nitrogen, and I'm not sure if they're going to do anything for the banana tree in the back.
You should plant them underneath, endangered plant species so they'll be safe.
Actually, if I wanted to be a real butt about it, I could claim that the gopher tortoise burrow that's on the edge of the property needs to be attended to, and that could get my neighbor to have to do things, but nope, for now it's just cats and lizards.
That sounds so boring, cats and lizards. Oh, JR's piped up.
It's very exciting when it's the cats and lizards in progress.
Oh, yes. It's super exciting when it's in progress, because then there's all the yowling and chirping and skittering, and then there's the indignant shout of, Mom, it's dead.
Bring it back to life. I want to play with it some more.
My toy stopped moving, Mom.
Yeah, cats don't need moving toys. They do it all by themselves. Thank you very much. Especially if it's twitching.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. How could JR be here at the start of the show? He's never here at the start of the show.
I don't know, man. That buzzer we planted surgically must have finally gone off. It must be working again.
I'm not really sure I want to know where you planted that buzzer.
I paid somebody to do it. You don't want to know. It didn't go well.
Is that one of those, rubber glove moments?
I imagine that there was the snap of latex, but I can't vouch for sure because I wasn't there. And the description I was given was, very precise in other details, but not that one.
Sometimes less details is better.
As long as the job gets done, right? You're not a micromanager.
At least I didn't ask for a trophy. Anyway, on that note, howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I am Paul E. Cooley. Joining me, as always, Veronica Giguere and Terry Mixon. And always as precise as in the majority of the time. That's beside the point. V, how the hell are you?
Busy but good. Finished recording a book this week. Actually, we're finished recording it this morning, so I'm still on track to do the next one in the series starting Monday. And so I'll just keep chugging along. It's the end of the school year. That's loads of fun. So balancing graduations and whatnot. Oh yeah, the kid graduated. One of them graduated, and yay.
On to adult life.
So the next step is to get a cat, or rather cats, plural, because we always adopt in pairs. And his graduation gift from my parents was some funds to put toward the cat care fund, because I don't want him adopting animals without being able to take care of them. So
gotcha.
So there's that. Yeah, I'm trying to be a responsible parent. What else? Oh, one of my other kids got a $1,000 scholarship for bowling. Yay! That's pretty cool. Proof that you can get money in your school by throwing balls at stuff and knocking them down repeatedly.
I thought that was going to go in a different direction.
My younger son, aka the lesser ginger. So he graduates high school in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So,
moving on up.
Yeah, so there's
What are you going to do when you're an empty nester? What are you going to do?
There's still another one at home. I still have the 15-year-old.
I know. I said when you were that empty nester, which is
like 3 years. Once the high schooler graduates and gets ready to move out and go to college, you can keep going by the younger one and go look at your watch. Are you still here?
Well, I mean, to be fair, but when that happens, I might actually have time to write. So I mean the the barely like couple pages a week, I could actually like finish a story on my own. But she won. We were at a tournament in March, and a lot of times these tournaments they go over a couple weekends, so you don't know the results until like a month later. But she wound up placing 6th overall in the state in her division, and that wound up with about $300 worth of scholarship money. So
Nice.
it's almost a textbook.
I know.
I wish I was joking.
She's not wrong.
No. $300 would cover. Back when I was in college, that would cover 3 courses, maybe 4, depending.
Yeah, these at least within the state of Florida, 1 credit hour at a university is it's 100 and change, so 300 covers like one 3 credit class. But yeah, so such is life. So now it's just trucking along, more tournaments, more. Oh, and I'll get to move my office at the end of the summer. That'll be cool. So, yeah.
Can't wait to see how that goes.
Yeah, because the space is somewhat smaller than here, so should be interesting.
You could like split it where one's the recording side and one's the office work side.
No, because then I still have to have a like desk space to edit when I'm recording, because right now I have a monitor that switches back and forth between the studio computer and this computer. So it just makes it easier to have everything in one room, but that means that this room will be the Lego and crafting room. So there will be way too many Legos and a whole bunch of yarn and probably my sewing machine and stuff that I can play with and not have to put away all the time. I live a wildly exciting life. Y'all are so jealous.
Paul, are you hearing her break up a
Yeah,
lot?
a lot.
Damn it! And literally, there's nobody else over here. I don't know what is going on.
Do you have Comcast? Explains
No.
everything.
Maybe it's the gophers. They're chewing. It's the lizard. The lizard is chewing into the,
The
internet
lizard
cable.
is chewing
That's
on your
it.
internet cable. I want to see a story about this lizard chewing your internet cable while running from the cat.
Be a pretty meaty sized lizard to try to chew on an internet cable.
It's weird. It's like you said. It's kind of stuttering. It's like just momentary beep beep beep, cutting out of the sound.
Don't look at me. I rebooted my computer. Terry, how the hell are you? What have you been up to?
I have not been writing nearly as much as I should have, but I'm still proceeding along just fine. Maybe now that everything's done that I need to get done out of the way. But gosh darn it, I just need to get back into cranking on this book. I've got things to blow up.
That's a good excuse.
Oh, man.
It's interesting because part of the distraction going on is I had purchased some role-playing game stuff that I wanted to add to my collection. And I started thinking about the way that this role-playing game, it's a science fiction role-playing game, does mapping. And I was like, I could use this mapping stuff to go ahead and make out a map of the next series universe and actually have a map of where the stars are all located. And I said, golly gee, more work.
I
Did
can
you get
see why
lost
you...
in world building?
I haven't yet, but I very well could get lost in it, but I haven't yet. Right now it's only a gosh, I could rather than a I'm doing.
Well, for the last month and a half, I've been kind of quiet about what I've been up to, but it has involved a lot of family stuff. We had to move a family member and we had to do all that kind of stuff. And now it looks like I'm moving my parents again. So I am not getting absolutely anything done on the writing front at all, which is bad. But I did sneak a few minutes here and there, reading the new book, trying to remember where the hell I am in it. And I actually think I like the book. I was ready to toss it, but I think I like the book and just need to keep going with it. So I just need to make the time for that to happen when I'm not dying of stress from everything else. So, my question. What the hell is this topic, Terry?
It is the topic of things like maps and wikis and other things that aren't actually writing the story that readers might find interesting. I see authors putting out sketches and artwork of their characters. They have wikis for what's going on in their universe. They write little short stories about little side things that are going on. Just things that are ancillary to the actual main storyline or even to publishing itself. And it got me to thinking, I was already thinking about doing this map. I was like, okay, I could do that. But there's so many things you could do. I mean, I know one person that has like Funko Pop dolls of their characters. It's just crazy. You could go anywhere with this stuff.
I understand Warhammer 40K characters work really well for that. It really should be the game I will not name, but alas.
No.
So, are you trying to tell me that you want to put action figures all over your maps and everything else and have them, staring at the screen and whatnot?
If I had an unlimited amount of money and helpers, I would be happy to do that. It's not, however, happening with what I'm doing, no.
Well, you talk about making this big map. Do you really need a big map of all the different star systems just to keep in your head?
Yes. In this particular case for this new series, I think that I will, because the location of them is actually somewhat important to the plot. Whereas before I was just making this up with the series I'm doing as I went, and being vague was okay. The next one is going to have things like relic hunting and other things that are going on, locations where aliens live. I need to make sure that I know where those aliens are, how many star systems they occupy, and if I come back to that star system, I need to make sure that I don't screw it up and have somebody else living there.
Xander says, I would totally suggest Map Tool. Totally, dude. Or, excuse me, totes. It's a free, virtual tabletop map software.
There's a travelermap.com that I'm using to, I can send information to it with the Traveler-style world-building stuff that I can generate elsewhere, and it goes ahead and creates the map for me there. So I can already get it in a format that makes sense. But it's going to take a little bit of playing around with it. I had to go ahead and order new ink for my printer because even though it still says it's full, it's not printing anything anymore. The ink's been there so long, it's like, nope, giving up, done.
I've had that happen. It's like I have to go buy a black inkjet cartridge because when I need to print something, it's usually an emergency, and the goddamn printer it's just fucked. The ink is turned into some hard substance that can only be dissolved with serious amounts of flamethrower action to heat it up.
This is what my printing looked like. I was like, yeah, that's not going to work.
Nope. The powder has it's no longer powdery. The toner is untoned.
This right here. You were out of magenta. Can't print the black texted document. That's right. God damn it. I hate that shit. HP. Ooh, I hope you burn in hell. Anyway.
So you're talking about the maps. Is that just for? Is the question? Do you need it for you, or is it worth making because you need it and your readers could be interested as well?
In this case, it's going to be both, because if I go ahead and make it for myself, I will go ahead and put it out somewhere where interested readers can find it.
Okay. I mean, I'm one of those readers. I love seeing if there's a map in the front of the book, or I think with some genres it works really well. And if you're creating a new, really rich and involved universe, then laying that out for your readers, it helps them be less lost, and then they can get more immersed in the story and the characters and what's going on, rather than have to, get oriented before they can enjoy stuff.
See, with this new series that I'm doing, it's going to be having a Star Wars vibe. So there's going to be herds and herds and herds of aliens. I could have art for each different individual alien race if I wanted to, if I could afford it.
Well, I think what you should do is you should go take a look at the Scott Sigler map of his universe, which I think was in the last GFL book. Or was it sold separately as a poster? I can't remember.
It was sold separately as a poster. It is currently hanging in my husband's office, framed. I wish I was kidding. It is framed amongst the hockey paraphernalia and the Quebec flag. It's just right up there. But it's really cool because it not only is it a map, but there's information on there. It's color coded, and what makes it, because his series are interconnected,
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting if you've only read some of it and then you see where stuff ties in. So for someone who writes one series and there's a bunch of pieces, then it can be a hook to get people to read other content.
I'll see what my patrons, etc., want after Extinction, after they finish Extinction. That will be interesting, very much.
I'll go ahead and post a copy of the map in a second here.
Okay. Sadness. Kryptonite for you is going beyond a chapter 1. Tim says kryptonite or maps are like kryptonite to him.
Kryptonite as in you can't do anything without them, or kryptonite as in like
world builder's disease?
No, there's also that. And no, the map isn't signed, although all of my GFL books are signed. They're personalized. They usually tell me to shut up and go record something.
Hi, Sue. Welcome. Yeah, the map, I think you can go totally bonkers over maps, over settings, over location, over maps, like Terry's trying to do. You can even go overboard on wikis and character notes and etc. I think you can just get so lost in the paperwork you don't ever actually write about these people. Well, all you do is write summaries.
Right. There's that, but there's also, I think some of it really does depend on how you write. I'm sorry, I'm getting updates from the tournament that my kids are in, because they're finished, because there weren't that many. Anyway, sorry, bowling chat. For some of us, when we write, especially if you're a discovery writer, then you might be working on those characters and writing the story at the same time. But if you're going to be doing a lot of things, or if you know that the world you're going to be working with is going to be really, really expansive, at some point you have to stop and take stock of what you've written and archive it as canon so that you don't double back on yourself later. And that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's so much work. I don't want to do it, but I have to.
I'm having to do it. Well, I had to do it for Derelict because of how crazy that series got. And I've had to do it somewhat for The Black because of the last 3 books. Because while the first 3 books weren't exactly interconnected, the last 3 books really fucking are. So trying to keep track of who was where when and what they were doing so I can build it up in my skull as to what, where everything happens. So I understand that there's a certain level of precision and descriptiveness that needs to be included with some of those notes for characters and place settings and things like that. So like you said, you don't double back on yourself, which I've done more than once, because I wish books worked like code, okay? Where I could basically prototype the thing and then absolutely annihilate it, but then grab pieces from it. And I can. The difference is that with code, I can see the indentations of what that is, and I know what it means. That one line of code, I can just look at it and know that's something I need in the new version. It's easier to find stuff in code than it is in, when you're actually writing the fiction. In my humble opinion. No,
it is. And it's, granted, I I tend to outline. So I have a skeleton of what's going to happen.
Right.
But there are plenty of times where, like, was it 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago. We were writing stuff and we got to the outline to this one piece, and I was like, because it's a sequel. And the first book was written 20 years ago. It's like, okay, let me go back and look. So I go and look through the book. I'm like, oh dear. The thing that we want to install on the ship now, according to the last 3 pages of the book, it was already installed, and we can't retcon this. How do we? I'm not kidding. I was like, oh shit.
It was removed.
But as I like to joke, having written fan fiction for so long means I'm really good at finding loopholes. And because that's all that fan fiction is. Good fan fiction just means you have found loopholes to exploit to further the story. And we wound up having to go back, but figure out, okay, so this is canon, this is canon. What's the path you can go between all these things and still hold true? But in order to be able to do that, I had to go and document, what was held. And then where the fences are. And I cannot go outside of those while we're writing. And having that map or that wiki as you're writing, you're setting up your own guardrails so that you don't, fall off Rainbow Road. And
Even Terry defines boundaries.
Oh, no.
Even
Shocking.
Terry has to define boundaries for himself in the story.
Yeah, I kind of do. I posted a map to the live channel to show what I was generating, with links to where I generated it and where the map creator was.
Oh, dear Christ. Yikes.
It didn't take very much. I went to one site, generated the text for it randomly using the rules because the one site does it, and then I just pasted the text into the other window and it made the map. So it did not take me a lot.
Yeah, I have no idea what this shit is. It just looks like symbols.
Yeah, and it would, because you're not familiar with that. And honestly, for what I'm doing with mine, a lot of it's not necessary either, but it's something I'm familiar with, so I can use it for this purpose.
Cool. Tim says, I've been updating my book Bible after every chapter lately, but I started with it almost blank. Okay, well, that makes sense.
That's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, I know that. I will go back and put notes in for a character because I will do something or I'll notice something about them that I didn't have planned. It just kind of happened.
Have you ever built a wiki?
For work, yeah.
How hard is it to do something like that?
Yeah, really easy.
It's easy, but the good part and the bad part about building a wiki for something that you're writing is because by nature a wiki, all the details within one article can link to other articles.
The cross-linking is a problem.
Right. Well, I'm not sure if it's a problem. It's just that oftentimes when you're constructing it, it's not very linear. And if you try to make it linear, if you try to construct it in a linear fashion, then you have to keep track of all of the linking details. For example, if you have characters who are part of various organizations, well, do you define all of the organizations first? Do you define all the places first? If you've got different ship classes, do you describe all the ship classes? Because then if you're starting with your characters and essentially you're creating these in-depth character bios for your wiki, that's going to have something like they're on this style of ship. That ship is another article. They come from this planet or this settlement. Planet or settlement is another type of article. Mm-hmm. They may be part of a certain faction. The faction is another type of article. And
which
so
it should be.
Which it should be, but it's less of putting together an outline that tracks top down, and it's more of creating kind of a web.
Yes.
And if your mind doesn't think that way, it can be really, really overwhelming.
One of the little tricks that I was doing when I was building my story Bible for the Empire thing is that like for a ship entry, things changed over time. The crew changed, and things happened. I would have whatever brief description I have at the top, and then I would have the book 1, book 2, book 3, whatever changes happened during that book, so I could know when in the series a particular series of changes happened. Because trying to figure out when a character left one ship to go to another one is impossible if you don't have a clue which book it's in.
Yeah, it's like you almost have a change log for each book.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly the way I was thinking of it. The Dave Robeson's program that I have now forgotten the name of. Archivos is also, it's not a wiki, but it's very much in the category of building something much like a wiki.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did a really good job with that.
Is it still around? I think it is. I
haven't used it in a while, though I'm not really sure if it still is or not.
I never used it when it first came out, but if it's still around, maybe I'd be inclined to give it a shot for this new series.
It might make sense for you. It really might. Because that's what it was designed for, is this huge sprawling series that come along. So I wouldn't shy away from doing that. I think the danger of having these tools is that it just basically it becomes an addiction. It's world builder's disease on steroids, because now you can define every little goddamn thing that there is and see that, oh, he wears a shiny belt buckle. Okay, what do buckles look like in this universe? What are they used for? Okay, well, I can spend 30 minutes deciding that and figuring it out. You don't need to. It'd be nice to be able to include that level of detail, but holy shit, who wants to do that?
Yeah. And not every character needs that level of detail.
No.
And now if you're writing a series, at some point, your secondary characters may become major characters, and you will need that level of detail. But it's really easy to distract yourself by saying that you're doing work on your story if you just continue to expand a wiki and you're not necessarily moving your story forward.
Right. Archivos is still out. I put a link to it in the live channel.
Cool.
Awesome.
Excellent.
I know you can do things like add pictures to it. You can do other things. It's very wiki-like with other things. So maybe that would suit somebody's need. The problem is with something like Archivos is that I'm not sure how easily shareable it is in the context of letting readers peruse it.
Very much so.
It is. You can make it public.
Okay,
I do remember
but
that.
one of the things that you can do that you run into with that is that if you're updating it as you write, there's going to be details that the readers will not be aware of because you're a book ahead of them.
And
yeah, but you can make those particular pieces private.
Can you? I wasn't sure that you could.
Pretty sure that's how you can do it. Is you can basically write as much as you want and just let it be public as it goes.
So, like, if I make an entry for a character that doesn't yet exist, it's private until I make it public.
Correct.
Not the whole thing, just a single entry.
Yep.
All right. I will definitely have to explore this and see what I can do with that, because a new series is the perfect opportunity, because I am terrible about story bibling, and gosh, I really should start it at the beginning.
Yes. Yes.
And then forget to update it halfway through.
Well, I mean, if you make updating it part of your weekly routine,
yeah.
Well,
then
as I write,
a little more manageable.
I write down every chapter, what I'm doing in that chapter. And if it's okay, I finished my 2 chapters for the day. Here's my written down. Then I go back and I go, let's add in the characters and whatnot at the same time. If I do it in progress and don't let it get behind what I'm doing and just make it part of that process, I could do that and make it work. Or I could wait until the book is written, and then as I'm doing the final read through, update the wiki. And that'll only be a couple of weeks before, maybe a month before the book goes live. It's an either or. I have to go through the book twice. I could do it at either place.
Doing it after you've written it is probably the best way to do that.
I'm not sure that Veronica agrees with that sentiment. She's over there shaking her head.
Just because I think working it into like your weekly routine, or even maybe your daily routine, but I think weekly might be enough. By doing that, you may be able to head off any continuity errors that come up.
I have had a few continuity errors that I've had to correct.
Yeah, and that's often what I run into, but that's because the group writes sporadically.
My continuity checking is in the final read through, because by the time I finish writing the book, I've forgotten what I've done in the first half of the book. And so
I don't have that problem
it
all.
Seems like doing it during the continuity check might be better for my mental health, because I'm going to be fixing everything at that point.
That's my thought, because I personally hate getting to the end of something going, oh, I screwed up bad. And then I'm going to take time to go, no, it's okay, we can fix it. I want to fix it. It's going to take forever. That's it. I'm not doing this anymore. Slam, walk off, and then go back later, rather than just little bits at a time. It's less to fix. It's easier on the brain. I feel better. It's good for your mental health, gosh darn it.
Xander says, get the beta readers to send you the notes and character details for you.
Sadly, I am not in control of the beta readers. Variant Publishing is in control of the beta readers. Which, maybe that's not such a sad thing after all.
No, maybe not. Maybe not. Hopefully they will point out any glaring errors long before it gets to press. So
I haven't really had any big glaring errors. This last book, somebody's pretty sure that I changed the character name and missed it in one location, but nobody could actually find it.
Okay, that's interesting.
I know he made this mistake. Now where the hell is it?
What I'm thinking is that I may have had an instance where it wasn't fixed and fixed it in the beta copy and just don't remember it. And so they may have seen it in the beta copy, but then after I corrected it in Google Docs, then it went away. Oh, speaking of Google Docs, let's have a side show issue with. I've seen some posts going around about people that are sharing to a lot of people their Google documents, getting their Google accounts locked out so that they can't send documents and share them.
So it's mostly with authors who write spicier stuff. And the issue is that it falls under the category of sharing out explicit material. And because people are using Google Docs for their beta readers, they may have one document, but they're sharing it out to hundreds of people. And if that one document is describing some interesting extracurricular activities, then that may be frowned upon as you're distributing soft porn. Now, mind you, I think it's a dumb rule. I understand the letter of the law, but locking people out because you're sharing naughty stories is...
The article I read on it said that they weren't sure that was necessarily it, that it might also, some authors that had their stuff locked up had no spicy content at all. And they were wondering whether there's a certain threshold that if you're sharing it to enough people that it starts seeing it as spam and locks you down.
Yeah.
Okay, but with Google Docs, you can, anybody that has the link can view it.
I don't know the details of how it's going. I'm just saying what I read in the article.
Yeah, they may have just put that in now to basically say, we're going to put a governor on it. Which I agree is stupid, because if you work at a company, for instance, and you have company Google Docs, they certainly don't do that.
Yeah, it's
words
weird.
are porn now. It's hard weird to tell, and they won't say why. So everybody is jumping to conclusions about this, that, or the other. And maybe it's a combination of shit. Maybe their AI just went bonkers for whatever reason.
But in any case, beware things could be going on in Google Docs.
Yeah. Soft porn, dumb rule. Yeah. If that is the reason why, then Google needs to start looking at its own search results. That's all I'm going to say.
But is it soft porn if your member is turgid?
I think Skinamax proved that decades and decades ago.
Turgid.
I had to throw in the purple pros there somewhere.
For the purple head. Anyway, no idea.
Wow.
I think Google Docs using that is always dangerous, but I think that's true with anything, even if you use Dropbox. Even if you use AWS S3, the powers that be can basically come down and, slam your account down and say, thou shalt not, until they mess you over.
But, and I mean, I'm thinking for me, that's an issue because when I've got to share files out for editing, not everything that I narrate is, PG rated. And I'm sorry, I'm getting paid for it.
Oh, my!
Oh, that made it even worse. Do you have any idea what that sounded like? For shame. Well, I need to make a YouTube short out of that. Mistress V explains how she works. Anyway, and how she gets paid.
I charge union rates.
We should have brought that up during world building. Is there like a sex workers union?
I actually think there is a sex workers union.
Yeah.
Is there actually one?
Well,
sex work is legal in Nevada, and I believe that they actually have a union. I believe that they are unionized.
Wow.
I'm not sure which union, and I could be wrong, but I believe that that is the case.
If so, that's actually kind of cool.
Now I'll have to look.
Oh, no. Be prepared for Terry's typing.
this is
I don't know what
separate
the
discussion.
I know. I don't know what the best way to share that stuff is. I would have thought it would be Google Docs.
It's weird. And
in the UK, International Union of Sex Workers.
There you go. Good.
Xander says we support our sex workers. Okay. Fair enough. I much prefer that to the alternative. Xander says Wattpad. So Wattpad's a good way to share as well?
I'm not sure how well Wattpad works with multiple editors at the same time like Google Docs. I've never used it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Google Docs is really good with it. I mean, you can see people working real time. I've been in cases where, you've started a sentence, then I pause and like, how do I finish it? Somebody else just comes in and finishes the sentence and keeps going with the idea. But I think that the bigger, like you guys said, the bigger issue is when there are a lot of people accessing those files. So, and as in like hundreds of people. But even still, what's the difference between hundreds of people accessing those files and having a story like that on Kindle Unlimited?
That's true. I personally, as an author, if I was trying to corral hundreds of people editing and commenting on my work at the same time, I would promptly throw myself off the roof.
I agree.
Yeah. The whole too many cooks in the kitchen thing. Just no.
Just no.
No.
We should drag ourselves back on course here for this here.
I don't know. Sue asks if is that an editing orgy?
Yes, I'm finished. Yes. Yes.
Oh, I love what you do with semicolons.
Bold, attack.
I just love how that font gets bigger and bigger.
Oh, no, make it Seraph. I love Seraph. Oh, Seraph.
All right, which of you idiots put Comic Sans in here?
Well, trust Terry to take it too far. I thought this was a classy show, but then you had to go pull up Comic Sans.
I know I am, but who are you?
Yeah, thank you, Sue. Throw that hand grenade at us.
I've got to find that SNL skit, the papyrus skit.
Oh my God! What
was
the hell are we
great
talking
stuff.
about? We still
We're trying to drag it back on the topic.
At least
Paul, have you thought about getting
That's what
any,
she said.
action figures of your characters?
I think Antoine pointed out that if we had a Funko Pop of the black, it would just be a pile of melted plastic.
It's kind of cool.
It would be kind of cool.
Xander wants to go back to maps and renders and stuff.
I mean,
Maps and
granted,
renders?
I've taken like Lego minifigures and created characters from, like, Secret World Chronicle. I have one of Red Genie and one of Victoria Victrix.
There you go.
And, yeah, because Legos.
I've thought about, for my own personal use, not for sharing it wise, but I've considered trying to get one of those AI image generators to make aliens for me, to give me a personal idea of what an alien might look like, to give me a visual representation if I'm going to have a lot of them. But I'm still not convinced that I would.
You're just a man that secretly wants to play with dolls. I see what's going on here.
Well, the things that G.I. Joe does, that just should
After
be kept
hours,
right down.
that's
After hours,
his
it should be
business.
kept right on
That's
down.
his business.
If he drops the soap in the shower, whatever happens next, that's somebody else's problem.
Michael says, I've been looking at Kickstarter for maps and card decks for monster creation. I have done that too, not card decks necessarily, or even maps, but I have done that as well as far as perusing some of the crazier sci-fi covers that are out there, or going and looking at a really stupid creature feature B movie. And I'm like, how could I make that look scary? Or I see a piece, a picture of a life form that we don't see every day, and I go, how can I use that? What if we tweak this, tweak that, and increase its size 100-fold? What the hell does that look like? And how does it eat people? So I understand what you're saying. You basically go look for the inspiration from where it is. I mean, the game XCOM gave me ideas for Station 3. And that's basically the way that worked, as far as getting that story done, is basically just grabbing ideas from there. So I understand completely using other media for inspiration.
I went and threw something in the live chat. So the Funko Pops, you can do custom Funko Pops and put them together and have them. You can order them. I did those as Christmas presents for my kids last year.
Oh,
And
yeah, you
so
did
they
mention
have-
that.
Yeah, and so they've got little pops of themselves, and they thought they were really cool. So I won Christmas with a cool mom gift. But you can buy blank ones, so you could make your own. But if you're looking at, I mean, I could see commissioning like a handful of pops if you wanted to do those alongside like a book release, and have it as a really cool giveaway, or if you're tabling at a conference or convention, having that. Yeah.
What does that say?
It says Funky Stardust,
Okay.
I think. Maybe it's Fury Stardust. I can't quite read it, but Jeff Chaney had this Funko Pop done for him.
There are some characters or action figures I could see, like for Soul and Beyond, with what the creatures look like, what the Marines look like in their suits. Even spaceship toys. Oh, Terry's got a model. He could just easily have that constructed into real plastic.
Yeah, there's some really interesting things. And plus, by having them for yourself, you can always make them available to, for your readers
Mass
to custom
production.
order. Yeah.
It says
Yep.
Foxy Stardust.
Foxy Stardust.
Gotcha.
And it's
A
got a little
Funko Pop
head.
bobblehead.
It's a Funko Pop bubblehead, I guess. There you are.
That's frightening. That is frightening. I mean, one day it's going to be really easy just to have your own 3D printer and just, belch out these things, but it's probably still 20 years away before a consumer model can do that on a regular basis.
Now you've got me thinking if I should go and see if I can coerce the 18-year-old to find something for the 3D printer that is currently in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, Julius is perturbed.
Xander says, oh no, they opened the box, the collector value. Ah! Garaga would be a non-Euclidean structure, or wouldn't be a non-Euclidean structure. I still have yet to really describe what Garaga looks like. I'm not sure I ever am going to either.
Sometimes you don't need to describe people pick up on characters in different ways. Some people are really visual. Some people just want, like, what does they sound like, or what vibe do they give? I mean, I'm one of those people that I can write. It's easier for me to write a character if I have an idea of what they look like, mm-hmm. and like how they characterize themselves. Because then I can visualize how they stand and how they talk and facial expressions and how they would react. But not everybody does that.
No, not everybody does that. I think with Eldritch fiction, especially, if you're talking about the big-ass creatures, is you make them as ephemeral as possible. You make aspects of the creature visible, but not the whole creature at once necessarily. Or if you do, it's fuzzy somehow. It's either fuzzed in fog or distance or something along those lines to where you can't do the overall description of what it looks like, because there are some parts of the picture that are amorphous and your brain just has to fill it in. Antoine says, all right, be fair, there was a Mistress V pop joke that I did not make. Can't take him anywhere.
I'm just thinking y'all are gonna someday meet me in real life at some convention. You're gonna be horribly disappointed.
So other add-in stuff there. Paul is wearing a different kind of add-in stuff right now.
Look at that.
What's that? What's that you got on, Paul? Is that a Kraken's jersey?
That is a Kraken's home jersey. And those were like limited edition. I don't think you can get Kraken's jerseys anymore.
I don't think so.
And
I don't think so.
Yeah. But they're like
oh,
a great
no.
example. I know. Okay.
I'll be cracking these nuts.
So
I have this special Leo figurine.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, Tara, you could have a whole thing with like cat trading cards. The whole like suit. You could probably do, the even with 4, you could do like the suit of Leo, the suit of Sassy, the suit of Julius, and the suit of I don't know, whichever. Yeah, Castor. You could have all 4 of them and just like sell that. And it's not necessarily tied to your books, but it's tied to your author brand. And I bet it would sell.
Probably. You've been there, done that. You're wrong.
Yes, but Sue, you weren't going for the Mistress V thing. You were going for the let's sit in the back of the room at the con and figure out how to do terrible things to Paul while he's talking.
Well, don't we all do that? Really?
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of a hobby of some people that I've met over time. I can't imagine why.
That's the thing, Wahaha.
Making me wear tutus and shit.
Nobody made you wear that. You volunteered.
Oh, well, okay. So it was payback.
Toga.
It was payback. The toga was not a toga. That was a dress. I don't know what the hell happened with that. Still wearing. Still wrong. Chris says, I think YouTube chat is broken, not seeing a lot of the messages that make it to the video. Interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Weird. Yes, we've concluded that StreamYard is sometimes persnickety.
And YouTube is sometimes persnickety all by itself.
True.
Sailor Moon Cooley. Don't bring up Sailor Moon Cooley. Okay, this is bad. We never forget about Sailor Cooley. They draw on the power of Uranus.
There is already a Sailor Uranus and a Sailor Neptune. Could you guys please not get into the canon?
Well, you know,
Sailor Uranus!
If you could make your own Funko Pops, you could make the bottom half Sailor Moon and the top half Paul's head. It could totally be done.
God damn it.
Let's see.
Hey, don't give her ideas, damn it, Terry.
What? It's not like I'm David Wood.
I was going to say, a good thing he's not here. Sailor Pluto, which means Pluto is a planet. Sailor Moon confirmed.
Pluto is
not a planet.
Pluto is a planet.
Pluto is a planet. And Sailor Pluto was one of the coolest ones. She controlled time.
They waited until almost all of the people of the Astronomical Society had left before they had that vote. They waited till they had a mini quorum of what was left. So I view it as it's not real. It was rigged.
All right, if you think that trumped up ice ball deserves to be a planet. To be fair, I grew up knowing there were 9 planets. Right? So you take Pluto away and now it's 8 and my brain can't handle it. Pluto is many things. A Greek god, planet, god, dog, yes. I like playing with that. I still think Pluto is as a planet. I just always will. You know, they can call it a dwarf planet or anything else, but I still think of it as a planet.
I call the people that did that entire vote, they're dwarf astronomers, dwarf planetologists.
Pluto no longer exists. Paul blew it up. No comment. No comment. None whatsoever.
Oh man. Sorry, I don't think the Funkos are going to give me the option for the sailor skirt.
Don't.
I'm very bothered by this.
Now, what about the Mystery Planet X, where Elon is from?
No, that's not the case. It's not Elon that's from Planet X. I'm pretty sure it's Mark Zuckerberg.
Can't they both be from there?
He looks like an alien.
They'll look alien-esque. Basically, we stayed on topic for a lot of this time, but I think our response is wikis are cool, or wiki-like structures are cool, or wiki-like ways of organizing your information in your story Bible are better than just having a dictionary of things that are unrelated, because then you have to duplicate it across cards. So I think that some kind of system like that, using Archivos or an open wiki or something along those lines, or hell, even you have that stuff in WaveMaker and Scrivener. It's helpful. Be very helpful. And maps, I can see how that might be kind of cool. Because Zuck is a lizard.
We have remedies for that. We have remedies for lizards.
Brett says he only likes WikiLeaks. That always sounded like a porn thing to me. It did not sound like anything else. Don't know why.
If you're going to porn looking for leaks, your taste may be a little variance from the rest of us.
I understand that's big business.
We don't kink shame.
We don't kink shame here.
I wasn't. I just said I understand it's big business.
It is.
All right, what is going on with you, chat? You silly people.
They're scarred.
Apparently, most of them aren't seeing the chat messages, or at least Chris isn't, so maybe they don't know what's happening.
Maybe they don't. Maybe we don't know what's happening.
We see
That
what
wouldn't be
you're
the first
saying,
time.
but, I don't know what to tell you.
Variant, like the publisher Terry works with, it's all coded. It's all coded.
Code.
In what way is it coded, Tim?
I'm
The
not sure
words are
what he's,
code for something?
I'm not sure what he's getting to, so I don't know.
The AI is making them? What's going on here? What are you talking about? I know that feeling. Xander's just mostly sleepy, but getting some not writing done.
He's
Coded the
mostly
barbarian.
sleepy and is in the process of getting some, and you're still listening to this podcast? You are a very dedicated listener. That's what I got to say.
Indeed.
Well, you could pass out after the small talk and just wake up at the end of the show and then you'll hear us go, and that's our opinion on blah, blah, blah. Lots of trying to world build and get details settled to make a larger story make sense. I know that feeling. I dumped my characters out into a space I have not described yet. And I'm trying to describe what it looks like underneath this dome. The kinds of buildings and structures that are in there. And it's a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. And I don't know why exactly. I think it's because I'm having trouble choosing between sci-fi industrial versus company genericness. Would the company make that look kind of like a nice place to live and wouldn't make it all industrial hell so it looks like something out of 50s Russia?
No, the company's they're gonna take on the lowest bidder. What are you talking about?
There is a point there.
Just because it's a company doesn't mean that they're gonna be in the best interest of the worker. I mean, corporate oligarchies are a thing.
Right, but see, the other way I've been thinking about this is the same thing that I have with Derelict and Station 3, as well as an Ancient Trap. If you've got people living out there for years at a time, it needs to be a home. It needs to be a home in some way, fashion, or form. My thinking is that instead, the company would make some stuff look very welcoming and kitschy, whereas maybe the official buildings would look official.
I don't know. I don't know if it would look. It might not look. Well, here's the question: did they intend for people to stay out there for as long as they did, or so?
It's a settlement. A large settlement is growing quickly, but that's a settlement.
So
like five
so
domes.
a lot of it's going to be very copy paste, though.
Yeah, I imagine the domes would almost all have the same layout unless they're different shape or different size for some reason.
Then the question becomes, how do you personalize stuff when you can't bring a lot of things with you?
Well, therein lies the other issue. So when the companies send the ships, but I'm thinking there's going to be factories, right? Because they're going to start factories and manufacturing and everything else. They won't be completely dependent on a third party because they're trying to build a city, a real functioning city, that's basically got some kind of self-reliance to it. So it's not just about building a company town. It's about making a place where people can visit, where other companies can come, and all of that, because it's basically you can't do it on your own kind of a deal. Regardless, the idea is that you may live there 2 years, you may live there 10 years. So I would think there's going to have to be some level of comforts around, otherwise it would get bad. But, just my thoughts on it. But if you have a question or comment about this show, you can send an email to show@debrobotssociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSE.social. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast, where we are live every Saturday, almost every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And if you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one that's coming up in about 10 minutes. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Nate Cosby, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Dieterreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And with that, I think it is time for us to get the hell out of here and for y'all to enjoy your Saturday. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Unless you're coming to the after show.
Unless you're coming to the after show, in which case,
So help you.
Oh, yeah. We got to talk about some other kinds of maps. You know.
That's scary.
What are you mapping now?